Hi, everybody. This is an episode called Growth Never Stops, Designing a Life of Meaning and Purpose. So, this is an episode that is about focusing your energy on a life that is meaningful to you. And whatever that looks like to you right now will be different depending on your life stage, depending on priorities at any given time. And what has inspired this episode is really just me becoming more conscious of energy and the quality of energy that we embody as we move through life. And I've just been thinking a lot about how life can kind of go unconscious if we're not really paying attention to what it's doing. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to start with a question. What do you live for? Follow-up question. Is your life designed around that thing currently? And I don't mean like, specifically living for a job or living for a cause necessarily. I also mean things like hiking with my dog, mountain biking, riding motorcycles, or being around animals, whatever it is. Could be anything. Before I became a therapist, I'm not a therapist anymore, but when I was a therapist, before I became a therapist, I used to coach people from a very specific perspective. And it was very like, you can do it, just fucking go for it. And it doesn't matter if you have the drive, you can get to the destination. And it was very focused on just those traits, which are valid. But after becoming a therapist, I really started to recognize the more important factors in a person's well-being and happiness and thriving have to do with your own nervous system design and your body and your being in a holistic sense in terms of like what rewards you on an energetic level schedule wise, what rewards you in terms of the type of energy you're around on a day-to-day basis. What do you require to feel peaceful and happy and good? Maybe that's a lot of nature. Maybe that's a lot of quiet time. Maybe that's a lot of real, protected, insulated social circles. Whatever those things are, we have to learn what they are over trial and error throughout our lives. And then we have to deliberately choose things based on those factors, not just the title, not just the status, not just the fill in the blank career path that has been kind of paved by culture. So, having a peaceful pace to your life might be a true mandate for you, or being around people who are kind might be a true mandate for you, or having lots of unscheduled time might be really, really vital to your happiness. So, these are all different, and your version of success might be based around totally different terms than what I'm bringing up right now. So this episode is really like about returning to yourself, coming back to who you are through what I would call just becoming conscious, like deliberate efforts, becoming conscious, taking note, and then making deliberate change toward alignment. And that's just the way we live life successfully. We're constantly recalibrating. For me, I notice when I need to correct, when I start to see the balance tipped by external factors. And that is part of the reason I'm posting this is it's part of my process as a person. That redirection, coming back home and honing the ratios of where energy is placed and what we boundary in our life, like what we allow into our life, what we allow to change the ratios of our life. I recently read a quote I'm reading Bird by Bird. Highly recommend it. It's about writing, but it applies to all things life. And there's a quote mentioned in that book. I'll put a link in the show notes, by the way. There's a quote in this book that's about writing a novel by E.L. Doctoro. And the quote is, writing is like driving at night in the fog. You can only see as far as your headlights, but you can make the whole trip that way. And I think self work and healing is exactly the same way. It's like driving a car at night in the fog, and you can absolutely make the whole trip that way. You don't need to see it all at once. Just focus on being deliberate and intentional in how you approach today. only today, right now. And that is how you end up at a place that is much nicer just by being really conscious about today. So this is about living a life of meaning, being intentional in your approach to today. So I have a question for you, another question for you. Who do you surround yourself with and why? And I just want you to actually take a moment and think about that in your life. Think about who you have kept in your life by choice and and consistently. And think about a person, just one person that you have kept in your life consistently. And now I want you to think about why. Why do you have them in your life? What motivates them? Are they kind, curious? Are they interesting? What do they represent to you? And I just want you to take note and see if that also needs some course correction. If you find that they are not mirroring back to you depth, joy, and meaning, something that revives you, rejuvenates you, second question, how might you correct that? Who would you reach out to today to get more of that in your life? Like who needs to come back into the sphere of influence that is your world? I think of people as batteries in some ways. They like physically, spiritually recharge us if we have the right people in our lives. And I think the people you surround yourself with are part of our life force. For me, the qualities of the people I surround myself with are mostly tied to art, creativity, openness, kindness, expanding consciousness, people who appreciate and can see people and validate people and see what is magical in people. So for you, it might be something different. It might be people who are of service or people who are positive and loving. The reason I ask you to ponder this is it's easy to be swept away by external conditions, and they will unknowingly, we won't even notice it, but they will dictate to us our life's core. So you might end up in circles where you feel kind of alienated and everything is superficial and you're just kind of going with the socially accepted flow. And it can end up feeling pretty dissatisfying. So, this is an opportunity to check in on your life design. Because, in my opinion, genuine happiness is the most beautiful, attractive trait in the world. There's nothing more attractive than genuine happiness. If you think about it when you see it in another person, it's so enlivening, it's so mysterious, engaging. So don't forget to vibrate high and help others do the same. And I think that vibration starts with being clean and pure in our intentions, being unfettered in our ability to be present and joyful. So, with that, this episode is a little bit different structurally. There are two parts, the what, and then there's a how, which is lots and lots of tools. Part one, the what. This is kind of a little bit of a not real what. I'm going to call it full woo. So this episode is me coming out of the woo the woo closet of just I'm gonna go fucking weird on you. So this episode is about creating depth, curating moments where we can have that spigot of joy be completely unblocked, unadulterated joy and positive vibes. And when I'm in that state as a person, what I notice is I like cry readily. Like everything is very moving. And I didn't really know what that state felt like until after I had kids. But it's not to say it's only tied to kids. I feel like I've had a couple peak experiences in my life where I can really fully feel that. But one thing that has recently got me thinking more about this concept is that show, the telepathy tapes, and the concept of telepathy in general. And one thing I've been reflecting on is what does that mean for us in terms of our spiritual evolution as people, as humans? And what are the ramifications of that? If thoughts are completely evident to the world, what does that mean? What else does that mean? If this is true, what else is true? When there's no such thing as lying, it also means nothing is bad. It just is because you can't hide it. It also means you work because of that more collectively because you everyone has is responsible for things as they present. It's not about hiding it anymore. It's not about socially conforming anymore. It's about a society supporting as support is needed, if that makes sense, which is kind of in my mind already something I practice. Like I believe accepting the truth is just the best way to live life is to welcome the truth as it arrives and move through it. So in some ways this is kind of like one and the same with that, this idea of like there's no such thing as lying. So just thinking through what that means, if you have a negative thought and you cannot hide it, you're struggling openly now. And it also means people will witness it and attempt to help you openly. So already there's this like way different sense of acceptance and community around people and emotions and feelings. It also means in this like very public sphere of feelings and thoughts that we are collectively responsible for the energy we create. And therefore, we are attracted to feelings of love and we want to create that in others. So we're already all vibrating higher together because we are being ethical and responsible with our energy. It's like if you're not, you're spewing smoke into the air. So in this woo thought process, the one step further that I have arrived at is, so what does that mean for the way we teach children? The what does that mean for what the purpose of school is? I think that the purpose of school and growth and learning will actually become based around your personal energy. So teachers will ask, what feels right and good and activating in you? And how can we channel that greater? How can we fan that? What is your great gift and how can we enhance it in you? How can we support it in you? We want you to do that. What feels inspiring to you? How can I help? Versus right now, the model is very much based around how can I get you to behave and behave harder? How can you obey and be like everybody else? It's very much about like swallowing personal energy and accommodating a structure and being a cog. So all of what I'm reflecting upon here, where are we going as beings, as a mass, as it also has to do with what I think is our kind of life path, our ultimate and most healing life path as individuals. I think we are all kind of moving toward unfettered peace and acceptance and kind of a letting go of control, of the job of control. So that for me looks like freedom from fear, freedom from inner conflict and inner debate with what is. And we're all kind of moving toward acceptance, openness, love. So with all of that said, that's just like context for what I'm offering here and some tools for how we can really enhance our life energy and get to that place and recall it in our own body, even notice what it feels like in our own body. So here we go. Tools for higher vibration as a human being. Before I do that, though, first, a brief word from our sponsors. Okay. First tool is called the energy of pure and good. That's a This sounds like so touchy-feely and weird, but it's actually like a very specific finite thing that I'm describing. Like I want you to think about what that feels like in your body when you have an experience that feels 100% pure and good. There's this like very specific, satisfied, almost like I'm eating delicious food. There's this like vibe you get in your body. And I just want to plant that seed in your head and for you to take note of when that occurs. I notice it when I am taking a walk at the end of the day with my family and it's like nice weather and I'm watching a sunset and it's just like a little moment. I always think of my head as like hitting record, but just notice it. Like you might have it when you're hugging your dog. It's like a delicious kind of feeling. So just take note of that texture and the tool here is just to be sure to make deliberate time for those moments in your day. Because I think when we get in a kind of reactive survival mode or we're just like going through a routine, we get automated, just like machines. We get totally programmed into checking boxes and we don't even recognize that like the pure good is actually the most important part of our life. All right, the next tool. I'm a person who blanks. I think a lot of people get kind of enchanted by images on social media of like wealth and stuff and places, exotic places. And one thing that I think really does define us to us is how we prioritize sacred acts of humanity and like what quality of a person we are. And this is just how other people recognize how special we are. It's also how we know our own true self. So, this is a little exercise I want you to write in your journal. I am a person who, and then fill in the blank with something that is a testament to who you are as a human being. It might sound like a humble brag, but it's a kind of a cool, nice reminder to yourself of like, this is my fabric, this is where my soul lies. And it's how we show up for people we love. It's how we show up for our community. It's how we show up for ourselves, for something we believe in. That is the testament. That is the proof of our matter, of who we are truly deep down, and has nothing to do with something you post in a picture. So I'm going to give an example of my mom. My mom is a person who, when I say I really wanted a Studio Ghibli t-shirt, she gives me a Studio Ghibli shirt, but also sewed the sleeves because I wear kid sizes. The kids' sleeves look really weird because they go down like to your elbow. My mom is a person who sews sleeves so they're like cute and hip at the shoulder. Like that is a an insight into the soul of a person that otherwise could be a blur. You could do this for yourself, but also if you want to do it for somebody else in your life, it's fun. It's a fun exercise. All right. The next tool, we are two people. This is a reflection exercise. Um, I learned a lot from this exercise. I want you to look at your body, yourself right now. You're standing in one spot right now. You're going to duplicate yourself and look at yourself in third person. And really honestly, I want you to reflect on this person and what that person's behavior tells you about their value. How are they treated? How are they moved around, muscled around, moved through a day, physically treated, scheduled? How are they groomed? How are they fed? How are they referred to? How are they, if they're like, an employee, you can even think of it in that way. How are they respected, honored, treated? It's an enlightening exercise. I've done this in terms with friends. I watch how friends treat themselves as like a third person exercise. And you can glean a lot about that person and their imbalances or their balances, and also what they're doing right. And also kind of like an inner set of values and beliefs. And I think if you notice what I learned in this exercise, I treat myself like I am an athlete that is training for an intense sport that never arrives. So I I see that as kind of a good thing in some ways, but also it told me I need leisure. I need time for just physical rest and to check in about if if the sport is still what I want to do, you know? I need that reflection moment as well. I'd like to be treated like a conductor or a precious artist or a mom, just a confident mom. I mean, there are all these little like insights you kind of glean from that perspective. And then what happens is you just react. Real time, you react and you say, oh, okay, I gotta just slow the fuck down, or whatever your response will be. I have a friend that I did this reflection on, and I was like, oh, wow, she's like a special temple, a special precious temple. There is a very ritualistic, delicate handling, like in a very kind of sacred healing kind of way. So have fun, see what you learn. All right, next tool, channel endurance. This is like, I shouldn't have put these back to back. This is like totally the opposite kind of tool. If you need this in your life right now, this tool is to have a stress threshold role model. I think one thing that happens when we get into a place of stress or overwhelm is we start to ingest it as poison. Like our perspective about the situation makes us feel like I just got to keep drinking poison harder and like suffer and suffer and swallow and swallow. And that perspective in itself, in my belief, is what is creating the harmful effects. So one thing that I do when I get an inkling of that feeling is I try and shift my frame by going into the mindset of somebody who I would call a stress threshold role model. So for me, it's I channel my grandfather or my grandmother or my some of my earlier ancestors, like so many just really overwhelming, difficult conditions. My grandma, my nana, my Korean nana dropped out of school. I think she was like 11 to take care of all her siblings. Otherwise, they were going to be put in an orphanage. And she was so smart and creative and had such amazing skills as an artist. Anyway, the thing that I think about with her, though, is like caring for all these little kids and being a woman at that time. There's so much pain, frustration, agony. And she just fucking took care of shit. And I'm like, oh my God, I can do this. I can do what I'm doing now, I can do. Like the the frame is everything in some ways. So my grandfather, another person I channel, he just had an attitude of like, it's cool. We can do this. Like literally anything. I'd be like, hey, can you help me build a chair that has like lights rigged to simulate a beach? And he'd be like, yeah, let's do it. When he was a kid, like super poverty stricken in England, and when he was like, I think he was like 4 years old. I'm not just saying that. He would go out and collect coal on the streets from like the coal delivery trucks just to make money for food. And like that was like his entrepreneurial start, and like that carried through in his whole life. And I see that as like a part of myself. It's like you have a sense of agency if you can just change your perspective toward agency. So if you are stressed or you are overwhelmed or you're starting to feel like on the back foot or put upon, think about a person in your life who is close to you, who has modeled strength to you, and think about how they move their body and how they activate their energy, and know that that is in you. So we can push past that wall and just reframe it as like, I'm in it, I'm moving through it. You have it in you just because you have watched it, you have witnessed it, it has been modeled. It has always been there in you. We just have to recall it. Okay, next tool, a journal prompt, another journal prompt. It's called The Structure of Your Life's Focus. I recently went to Montana and I was on the plane and I was listening to this guy just tell somebody else about his lifestyle and why he lived in this specific place. And he was like, I live here because I really like to hike with my dog. And that's what I do. That's my thing. And I was like, oh my God, why don't I have a life like that? I should design my life like around a thing I really like to do. So this journal prompt is based on your actions. So the first half, based on your actions and your time currently, what does it tell you about what you have designed your life around? Second prompt, what should it be? So if there's like an amendment to that, like just think in concrete terms about how you can reschedule your life. Maybe it means you're moving. Maybe it means you're like changing the financial makeup of your life, it might mean some important things. Follow-up prompt: what feedback do you have, if any, in your life currently that is instigating change in you? Like, what feedback is your life giving you? If you've noticed that you have friction in your life, that something is like you're bumping on something, that's usually a sign change is afoot. So, oftentimes it'll show up in your life as a coping mechanism. For example, I have a thirst for more of my routine that I had when I was doing a lot more self work, like meditating, yoga, being in nature. And what that shows up for me in lack, when I have a coping mechanism, it shows up. I'm trying to do like complete aggressive manual resets of my energy. So it's like an imbalance, a swing is created. All of that food for thought. I was inspired by this, by whoever you were on the plane. Next tool, write your testimonial. Okay, this is a totally woo-woo tool, but I found it interesting, so I wanted to throw it in here. If it freaks you out, ignore it. Somebody recently told me that they took a class in ministry, and one of the things that they taught in the class was like the way that you should preach is the way that you found God or how God showed up in your life. So my tool is not that, but it's I want you to reflect on a moment in your life when you found purpose, when you were struck by a sense of powerful purpose. And think about like what was that moment? It's a journal reflection exercise. I remember for myself that it was kind of when I was going through, like I was in hell and I was going through the motions of trying to heal just on repeat. And nothing had happened, nothing had happened, nothing had happened, nothing had happened. And one day I just had this, what they call a peak moment. Maslow will call it peak experience. Abraham Maslow. Anyway, it was a moment of complete, utter harmony in all, all, everything. I like felt like a leaf on a tree. It was so otherworldly. I, I felt in alignment with the earth, with nature, with everything. And I was like, whoa, what was that? That moment is very much in how I repeat my lessons to other people. So for me, the insight is, what is the gift you have to give in this life, and how can you continue to give it? And so that little moment is an insight into that. Because how we show up with others in our life, we're absolutely 1,000% creating echoes of change and energy. We create such a powerful ripple effect around ourselves. So think about what is that thing born in you that is so needed and so lovely for other people to experience. Okay, next tool is it's a simple reflection, a simple measure. I think about this often when I just get really automated by my schedule or get really like in the checking boxes mode. The only important question to ask really is, can you be present? Can you be present? Can you? Are you being stolen by your phone? Are you being stolen by the TV? Are you being stolen by social media? Are you being stolen by your schedule? If you cannot be present and fully like step out of that for just what fill in the blank amount of time, that is the difference between having a life that rewards you and a life that doesn't. So, can you focus on a problem long enough to talk about it honestly? Can you focus on anything of meaning that's happening from the neck down? Can you connect to it at all? If not, your life is being stolen from you. So it's really important that you get to a place where you have the capacity to be present. It's so easy to just go through a year and not even know if you chose any of it. That's how speedy life gets. So just step back and slow down. All right. The next tool is another kind of reflection exercise. This is a journal prompt. Future career moment. I invite you to describe a moment in your future that is a portrait of success. And it doesn't have to be like you're winning an Oscar. It can be like a moment where you're with a group of people that you really appreciate, or you're in a role that feels very satisfying. And just visualize it. Go through the practice of having a visual of what the scene is in your mind. I like to do this like every few months because I find that I have a visual of an experience and then I have the experience and then I'm like, I need to have a new one. It's like be constantly dreaming. That's kind of the tool. Okay, the next tool is a metaphor. I mean, it's kind of similar to the one with the third person exercise. I'm just going to throw it out. Your house is a temple. I want you to think about your actual space and your actual family, like whoever you keep in your home. Imagine that this is a temple and this is a place of worship. What is the the spirituality here? What is the soul of this place? And just look at that and think like, do I need to revive it? Do I want more of it? Or you can also just celebrate it. Whatever it shows to you, you can think about like, good, that's good on me. That's true. That is true to who I am. I had a fun time doing that because it was affirming, but that's that tool. And then I have one more super hippie term or tool. If you are a person who is interested in dream work, this will be more applicable to you. And if not, you can totally ignore this. But I do a lot of work, creative work with dreams. And one thing that I have recognized is that the line between the dream world and the real world or the waking world is very, very thin. And one exercise that I think is awesome and I found that has like such rich material and moves you forward in like a therapeutic sense, moves you forward very quickly is this is the tool. Life is a dream. So when you have an experience in your life, work with the material the same way you would work with dream imagery. So, for example, let's say something happens that's frustrating to you. You have like a person on the street that in is road ragey and they confront you and they beep at you or they do something and it leaves you with like weird energy. That's like a random example. You would work with that scene as if everything is a symbol and everything in that scene is representative of you. And you would explore that scene as like what does this all mean? What does the car mean? What does the beeping mean? What does the location, the setting mean? The reason that this is an interesting exercise is it creates a little bit more like cosmic energy around the way we move through our life's path. And there will be kind of like strange serendipity in the like way that we arrive at realizations from the dream. So like I found that when I do work with dreams, I have epiphanies, things tend to align for me in more powerful ways and like they make more sense. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but anyway, it's a fun exercise. I invite you to try it. And okay, this is the very, very last tool. This is just a nice exercise. I want you to think about people in your life, throughout your life, who have unconditionally supported you. And think about your fans, people who have celebrated you. And in your journal, just write them down, how that appeared in your life and what moment it was in your life. And if it feels right for you, you can verbally, energetically, or in real life reach out to that person and just give them a thank you. Just connect to them, celebrate them, and recognize them for that. It's just a nice practice. Those are all the tools. I very much hope they help you and encourage positive vibes. Before I close, I want to thank all of my sponsors and I want to thank everyone who's left comments. And if you do have anyone in your life that you think this could help, please share it. And with that, I have a closing. I'm going to read another quote. I'm going to end with another quote that I love. So, in all these energetic ways, I think everybody thinks that small, doing something kind of for somebody or helping in this fill in the blank specific way is too small. Like, we all have this feeling of self-doubt, like, well, this isn't going to save anyone. What's the point? All of the tiny, tiny actions is how the universe works. It's in those tiny moments that like life and joy and love are made. It's not in like, millions of dollars donated to a blank. It's in those little tiny intentional acts and like in our will, in the consistent intention of love and trying hard and trying to grow. So where you come from is everything. Just keep that in your heart. And if you can really tune into that, I think that we heal everybody. We heal ourselves. We heal those around us. So I recently was listening to a quote about the Red Book of Jung's Red Book, and it hit me so hard. I'm taking this quote completely out of context because I think Carl Jung actually meant it in a totally different way that was like maybe not as positive as I'm making it, but I'm going to read it to you now in the hopes that it stirs in you a memory of your friendship with yourself. Because I think that's ultimately what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to inspire in many is just that reclamation of our childhood spirit and our unfettered sense of hope and possibility and joy. So, this is a quote from Carl Jung, and it's in the Red Book, which is super trippy. I don't know if I would recommend it for everybody, but anyway, in closing, hello, soul, my soul. Where are you? Do you hear me? I speak, I call you. Are you there? I have returned. I am here again. I have shaken the dust off all the lands from my feet, and I have come to you. I am with you. After long years of long wandering, I have come to you again. Should I tell you everything I have seen, experienced, and drunk in? Or do you not want to hear about all the noise of life in the world? But one thing you must know, the one thing I have learned is that one must live this life. Do you still know me? How long the separation lasted? Everything has become so different. And how did I find you? How strange my journey was. What words should I use to tell you on what twisted paths a good star has guided me to you? Give me your hand, my almost forgotten soul. How warm the joy at seeing you again, you long disavowed soul. Life has led me back to you. Let us thank the life I have lived for all the happy and all the sad hours, for every joy, for every sadness, my soul. My journey should continue with you. I hope this helps you. I send you my love, and don't forget to smile.